welcome to this afternoon's workshop, Communicate with Impact. For the next hour-ish, I'm going to be sharing some really beneficial learning with you. Now, the learning is based on the premise that I really believe that you are in privileged positions. And I'm using that word privileged here because you're in unique positions where you see, you hear, and you experience what's happening in your organisations from the shop floor all the way up to the boardroom table. That's a privileged position, and it's a very unique position. And what it means is, because you're experiencing that, you're seeing that, you're hearing that, you are in ideal positions to put forward proposals, ideas, and suggestions to your executive teams that maybe are ideas that are really going to benefit your organisations. So you're the ones that know what's going well, what's not going quite so well, and actually some of these really great ideas that you've got, it would be really good if you could put them forward and communicate with impact, what this afternoon's session is all about. So let me introduce myself first so you know who I am. So I'm Lindsay Taylor. I'm a former PA EA myself. So I worked for about 12 years, both in the UK and in the US. And then 12 years ago, I set up a training and coaching organisation, Your Excellency Limited. And I deliver training and coaching across the world to office professionals, something I'm really passionate about doing. Having been there, done that, got the t-shirt, I absolutely understand the diversity of your roles and the challenges that you inevitably face in your day-to-day working lives. I deliver training and qualifications that are accredited by the IAM. And I know lots of you in the room have already made your way over to the stand that I'm sharing with the IAM, so you know a little bit about the organisation. If you haven't popped over to see us, do come and see us at the end of today as well. I have copies of my menu of learning with me that you can take a copy away. This is all our learning and development offerings, including training and qualifications for you. I am also an award-winning author of my book A to Z Pearls of Wisdom for Executive PAs. That should really say multi-award winning author. I've won the same award 3 years running, but I kind of think that counts as multi-award winning. Best book for PAs for the last 3 years. There are some sheets floating around the tables. If you haven't entered the competition to win a copy of the book, please do leave your details on one of these sheets. The winner will be announced as soon as I can run from here downstairs and announce and pick a winner. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to pick a winner, but I'll have some creative idea to do that. If you don't win the book, you can come and purchase a copy from me. This is my little sales pitch. £10 today, or you can buy one on Amazon, and we do have the e-reader version as well. So that's sales pitch out of the way for you. One thing that I absolutely believe, and that this is going to form the basis for this afternoon's session, fun learning makes for memorable learning. So this afternoon is all about you having fun. If you have fun with learning, you're more likely to remember it and you're more likely to put it into practice. That's what this afternoon is all about. I've put on here as well 2 Twitter addresses. Do we have any Twitter aficionados in the room? Anyone use Twitter here? Yeah, there's not a huge show of hands really, is there? It's quite interesting. So if you do tweet, if you could use my handle and also the IAM's handle as well. Otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn and I've seen lots of really great LinkedIn posts already from lots of you, which is great. One quote that I regularly use in my training sessions, it's from Anton Chekhov, who was a Russian playwright, and he said, "Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice." You can come along to a training session, a workshop, a conference as you are now. You can take on board lots of great learning, new skills. The next part is really important. You need to identify how and when will you put these skills, this new learning into practice. Because that's the way that you're going to benefit from it, that your executives are going to benefit, and also ultimately your organisations are going to benefit here. So as we're going through this afternoon's learning, I really want you to be thinking, how and when can I apply this new learning? And I will check in with you at the end of the day to make sure that you have taken on board something and you will put something into practice there. So as Penny said, this is really kind of credibility on me. If you want to know any more kind of emotional stuff, come and talk to me later. I'll have a glass of wine to celebrate the end of the day as well. So come and see me. So session overview, so that you know what we're going to be covering for this afternoon. Firstly, I'm going to share with you what the key elements of communication are. If we're talking about communication here, we really need to have clarity over what this is. What is communication? How do we communicate as human beings? I'm then going to share with you a really fun kind of mini session within this afternoon of how to apply the power of 3 to your message. I am going to ask you to work as table groups and do some really fun exercises. So again, we're putting our learning into practice here. And then finally, I'm going to share with you the impact model, so how you can formulate your message to create real impact here. Now, this is an acronym that I'll run through with you. I have an example of an impact statement, and then it's going to be over to you to actually come up with your own impact statements per table group here. Ideally for a proposal, a suggestion, or an idea that you would like to initiate in your working environments, something real life. Okay, because this is your opportunity to put this into practice. So if we're all happy, we will move on. Everyone nodding. Yes, you all look really tired by the end of the day. Keep going. Okay, so I am going to start off with sharing some really interesting stats with you now, based on the work of this man on the screen. His name is Albert Mehrabian. He was a professor of psychology at Harvard University, and in the late 1950s and early 1960s, Mehrabian conducted some research on communication. And his research was based on face-to-face communication when we're sharing our feelings and our emotions. Very often, Mehrabian's research is misquoted or misconstrued. So if you ever quote this information, this is face-to-face when you're sharing feelings and emotions, first and foremost. Okay? Now, Mehrabian identified that there were 3 distinct elements to this face-to-face communication. And he broke communication down into, firstly, the words that we use. So this is the actual vocabulary that's coming out of our mouths, okay? So the phrases that we use, the terminology, and I know for lots of you working in different departments or industries or sectors or companies, you're going to have your whole language, your whole acronyms, yes? Everyone loves acronyms. You just think you've worked them all out and then someone introduces another one. You have to work out what they mean. So we're all sharing that in the words that we use, the phrases, the words, the vocabulary. The next element of communication is the tone that we use. So how do we use our tone of voice when we're communicating face to face? Within that tone umbrella, we may be thinking the volume of our voice, we may be thinking the intonation, the emphasis that we place on certain words, the speed at which we speak, and how we actually use kind of the tone of our voice to really add impact here. Finally, Mehrabian identified body language as an element of communication. So really, when you're communicating, this is all about what you can see. What is happening when you're communicating to someone or when you're actually noticing someone else communicating to you. So we're thinking here with our body gestures, with our posture. We're thinking about the posh word is physiology, our facial expressions, the eye contact that you're making. Okay? So 3 distinct elements here of communication. Mehrabian attributed percentages to these according to how important they are at creating that real impact, that real engagement with someone, face-to-face communication. So these are going to add up to 100% here. Yeah? How important do you think the words are? Somebody shout a figure out, and someone's going to be really clever here and know it. 5, okay, any other ideas? 7, yes, really proud. People that know it, I was like, yay, 7, absolutely right. So 7% words. So how about the tone of voice that we use? Remember this, under this tone umbrella, we've got volume, pitch, intonation, emphasis. What percentage are we going to give here? Any ideas? Be brave. 35 do we have over here? I don't know where that came from. Who said 35? Brilliant. Yeah, that's close enough. That's really good. 38%. So budding mathematicians in the group, we are left with 55% body language. So look, if we put this together, 93% of the importance of communication is down to how we deliver our message. That's what creates the real engagement, the real impact. Okay. Now, looking around the room, 55% body language. Some of you are kind of frowning and thinking, well, that's ridiculous, you know, because the words absolutely are important. That's the message that we want to get across. But think about maybe when you've been to a presentation or you've been in a conference and you've listened to someone that may have all the most amazing words in the world, but their voice is monotone. What happens if they use one pace of voice the whole way through? Switch off, stop listening, yeah? What happens if they're not using any hand gestures to really emphasize what they're saying and they're just standing stock still whilst they're using a monotone voice? Yeah, so we're all shaking our heads no. So the words absolutely are important, but how we deliver this is what's going to really create the impact here. Now, I like to think about these stats and this model as kind of a whole package. Now, by that I mean in order to create the most impactful message and communication, we need to make sure that our words, our tone and our body language are all working together to deliver that same message. How many people in the room do Pilates or yoga or any kind of core strengthening exercises? Yeah, you're better than the other group, you know. There were less people in that one. So I haven't quite made it to Pilates yet, but I always aim to. So if we think about kind of those core strengthening exercises, we talk about that core strength here, and that beautiful word that I like, that congruence here. If you're being congruent, then you need to make sure that your words, your tone and your body language are all absolutely congruent and aligned. So here's an example for you. This morning, one of the PAs here at the conference I haven't seen for several years, and straight away she recognised me. I did have to look at her badge, to recognise who she was, but then I had a moment of memory and I realised who she was, and it was just really great to see her. So she said to me, "Hi Lindsay, it's really great to see you," and me trying to read her name badge saying, "Brilliant to see you as well, how are you?" She said, "Great, thank you, how are you?" Now, if I'd replied to her and I'd said, "I'm really well, thank you," what's happened there? My words are saying I'm really well, thank you. Is my tone of voice? Is my body language? So my message is all skewed. It's not congruent. It's not aligned there. What really happened was this lovely PA, who I realised who it was, said to me, "And how are you?" And I said, "Brilliant, thank you very much. You know what, I know we've got a whole room, 115 or so PAs, EAs that really want to be here for learning." That was said with sincerity, everybody. Hopefully you got that. So my words, my tone, my body language were all congruent and delivering one succinct message that I hope has much more impact there. Yeah. Really interesting stats to think about, because how often have you maybe pulled together a presentation that you're delivering, or maybe your executive is delivering, and you've kind of wordsmithed, you've picked out all these really great words, but have you actually thought about this 93%? How are you or your executive going to deliver that presentation to add real impact to it? Have you thought about the tone that you're using? Have you thought about your body language, about the physiology, about the facial expressions, about the engagement there that you can create through eye contact? Interesting stuff. Any thoughts, ideas, or still people frowning? Why are we frowning? Any thoughts, ideas on this? Okay. So when you're putting forward your ideas, your proposals, your suggestions, we're thinking here, okay? We're thinking really 93% of how we deliver that. We are going to absolutely have some great words, but we need to make sure we're using the right tone, the right body language. What else can we do to ensure that we are communicating with impact? Well, we can do this. We can use something called the power of three. Now, this is something that I became aware of a couple of years ago and really took a hold of and thought, you know what, this is really exciting. It's really impactful. Everyone can use it, and actually it's everywhere. Once we become aware of this power of three, it's all over the place. What is it? The power of three is the notion that things that come in a pattern of three are more memorable. Three is the smallest number that has a pattern to it. Okay? So if we can use the power of three, we can create much more memorability for the person we're communicating with. I'm going to give you some examples now of the power of three, and then in your table groups, you're going to get into that power of three mindset and come up with some examples yourself. So if you think about a story or a book, how many of you grew up reading those beautiful little ladybird books? Yeah? How many little pigs were there? How many Billy Goat's Gruff were they trotting across that bridge? Yeah. Nursery rhymes as well. It's slightly digressed from story and book. So how many blind mice were there? Okay, so there are 3 main characters in those titles. There can also be stories and books that have 3 titles in their name. So one of my favourites, and I use this book actually for lots of management and leadership training, is Winnie the Pooh 3. And of course it was written by, come on, A.A. Milne, brilliant. Yeah, so that's the power of 3 as well. Yeah. A film that uses the power of 3, one of my absolute favourites, because I love Julia Roberts, think she's absolutely beautiful, is Eat, Pray, Love. Okay, power of 3 here. Any James Bond fans in the room that want to own up to being James Bond fans? Yes! Okay, so 007. Yes, lots of the James Bond films have 3 in the title as well. We're going to bring alcohol into this because we really need to. It's nearly the end of the day. James Bond, his favourite cocktail is a martini. Excellent, thank you. Just like G and T, which someone may be having later. Okay, marketing slogan or campaign. This is a well-known theory and practice for lots of advertising gurus. Marketing slogans use the power of 3 as well. So let's give you an example. Rice Krispies. Okay, Heinz baked beans. Thank you. Nike or Nike, depending how you say it.
Just do it.
Yeah, okay. There's loads more, and of course you're going to think of lots as well. Famous duos. If you think about duos, because we've got that middle word "and" in there, of course we're connecting up, so we've now got 3. So there's loads of famous duos that we're more likely to remember together. So Ant and Dec, who are now back together, yay. Who else have we got? We've got Mary and Joseph. I don't know why I thought of that one. I really shouldn't be thinking about Christmas yet. Loads of famous duos, and I'm sure you can think of loads more as well. And then the power of 3 is used everywhere, anywhere. Once you're aware of it, seriously, you're going to notice it all over the place. How many people work for organisations that have 3 in their title? So I'm from Your Excellency Limited, so I'm 3 as well. How many work for organisations? Show of hands with 3. Quite a few of you. How many people use TechSpeak and can think of some really lovely, clean 3 power of 3s here? So LOL, yeah, absolutely. And the only other ones I can think of are rude, so I'm not going to say them because I'm on camera. Also, let's have here's a very strange question. Who has their bags with them and who has a £5 note in their bag that would be happy just handing it to me? I will hand it back, I promise. So, yes, if I could have a £5 note, I want to demonstrate something to you. I'm not going to do a magic trick or anything, but... Oh, brilliant, it's fine. I've got one at the front, thank you. So, £5 note here. I don't know how often we look at our £5 notes, but on the back we have Winston Churchill. And there is a quote from Winston Churchill here, which is verbatim, so word for word, exactly what he said. Listen to this and see if you recognise it. So he said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears and sweat." Blood, sweat and tears. Yeah. So actually, some of the great orators of our time, what they've said has actually been reduced down to this power of 3 because it becomes much more memorable. I'm going to give you that back, unless you want half a book. Yeah. So, in order to get into the power of 3 then, working your table groups for a few minutes, I'd like you to come up with your own ideas here. So 1 for each of these categories: a story, a book, a film, marketing slogan, famous duo, and then one other that you suddenly have that light bulb moment. And then I'll be asking for your input. So, and I'm here if anyone's got any questions.
It's currently being booked, which is OMG.
Oh, you could argue The Hobbit is The Hobbit, couldn't you? Ish. It's still kind of three beats to it, maybe.
They made 3 films out of it, didn't they?
Okay, everybody, I'm taking kind of the slight lull in conversation that you have some amazing powers of 3 that you would like to share with everyone else. So let's start with a story or a book, and we'll start with the table at the back, please. So a story or a book?
Sorry, go on.
Book,
famous five.
The famous five, brilliant. Yes, good old Enid Blyton. Yes, yes, brilliant. Have you got more? Because you're welcome to share more.
Three Musketeers.
Yes, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, just those two.
Okay, story or a book at the back here.
The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which of course are Chronicles of Narnia, aren't they? Which is another power of three here. Story or a book here.
We've gone for famous five.
The famous five. We could have a secret seven too, couldn't we?
I did read both.
Yeah, I did read both as well, yes. Story or a book here?
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill, yes. How about a film then? Let's start at the front here, film.
Men in Black.
Men in Black, very good. A film over here at the back.
Film.
Well, it's Three Musketeers.
Yes, we can make all of those books into films, that's fine. Well done. A film over here.
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman, yes, brilliant, yes. And here, film.
Lion King.
The Lion King, yes. Marketing slogan or campaign? Come on, you must have loads of these. Let's start here again.
McDonald's, I'm living it.
Yes, every time you say that though, I want to sing it rather than say it. Yes, McDonald's, I'm loving it. Yes, brilliant. Marketing slogan at the front here or advertising campaign?
We've got Every Little Helps.
Yes, every little helps. Brilliant, yes.
That's what we
Oh, you had that as well. So no one shop anywhere else and can think more. Marketing slogan or advertising campaign here? Everyone's, that's Tesco's, isn't it? Everyone shops in Tesco's. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. How about famous duo then? Let's start with a group at the back.
Morecambe and Wise.
Morecambe and Wise, brilliant, yes. Famous duo here.
Sonny and Cher, Richard and Judy.
See, we had both of those in the session before. You must all be coming up with the same answers. It's amazing. Famous duo here.
We said Morecambe and Wise, but I've also written down Adam and Eve.
Yes, brilliant, yes. Yeah, Laurel and Hardy as well. Yeah, there's loads, absolutely loads. Here, famous duo.
We've got Little and Larger and Torval and Dean.
Yes, oh, Torval and Dean, yes. Another, something that you suddenly thought, oh yes, that uses a power of three as well. Anybody, share.
OMG.
OMG, so we're going back to text speak. Brilliant, yes, and it's a nice clean one, so that's fine. Any others that you thought of?
Which one with authors? So we've got like C.S. Lewis and J.K. Rowling.
Yes, yeah. And that's a really interesting point because lots of people of note that want to be noted or of notoriety may actually choose to change their name so it does have those three, the power of three and the three beats to it. So you will notice that in lots of famous people's names, which is quite interesting. How many in the room have got three names as well? Although it's only your mum or someone that only ever uses them when you've been naughty. So three in your name, lots of you. Yeah. So the power of three. There's loads of serious stuff as well. If I say to you stop, drop, roll, you all know that initiative from the NHS. And then you think about, I don't know how often you go into London, they probably use it on other trains as well, but it's like see it, say it, sort it as well. So they're things that really are going to stick with you and it becomes that really memorable thing because you're tapping into that power of three. So now you're aware of it, you'll probably notice it all over the place, yeah? It is useful, remember, because it's adding that memorability and it's something we can include when we want to communicate with impact. Because if we can be succinct and use that power of three, the person we're communicating with is more likely to remember it and what we've shared with them, okay? So hold that thought as we move on to this impact statement here. So this is an acronym, like I said to you. I'm going to run through what each of these letters stand for. I'm then going to share an example of an impact statement with you, and then I'd like you to have a go in your table groups at pulling together your own impact statement, one per table. So the I stands for introduce. This is where you introduce your idea, your topic, or your proposal. And we really want to employ KISS here, which is keep it short and simple. Okay, so 1-2 sentences here. Yep. The M is for main reasons. You need to identify the main reasons or the benefits of putting forward your proposal or your idea. And this is where we can use the power of three. And as the communicator, it can actually really keep you on track because you can count down, can't you? So firstly, secondly, and finally, or 1, 2, 3, okay? And using that 55% body language as well, where you're counting down, is really going to add that extra impact as well for the person who you are communicating with. So 3 main reasons. P, this is around problems. So we need to answer any potential problems that could arise or queries. I want you to imagine when you're putting forward any impact statement, proposal, idea, that you are communicating to somebody that is likely to come back at you with all of the barriers, all of the negatives, all of the risks, the pitfalls, the stuff that could go wrong. And you've been so brilliant that you've prepared all of your solutions to the problems that they're likely to come at you with, okay? That's going to show that you've actually researched this and you've thought about all these potential problems that could arise. Yeah, we're solution focused. It's regularly been drummed into us. We are solution focused, aren't we? And I'm sure many of you in this room are working with executives or team members that say, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. I hate that phrase. There we go. A, we are going to appeal. We're going to appeal to logic. So as an example, it will save us money. And we're also going to appeal to emotion. So as an example, it's good for team morale. And we want to do both there. We want to do the logic and the emotion. So it's a real kind of persuasion here for the person that we're communicating with. C is for credibility. So we need to add credibility to our proposal, our suggestion, or our idea. And how we can do this, we can use stats, we can use information, we can use reviews, testimonials, any kind of supporting evidence that's really going to add that gravitas and that credibility to what we're sharing here. We had a brilliant one. Somebody introduced an impact statement in the group prior to you, and they actually used the credibility as well. Our competitors are doing this, and look at what's happening to them. You know what? That is amazing persuasion techniques. If your competitors are 1-2 steps ahead of you, then that's the credibility. Look where they're going. Our competitors are doing this. And here's the stats, here's the figures, here's the result of them instigating and initiating this proposal. And T is for thank your audience or the person you're communicating with, and take any questions. Okay. Now, of course, this is a great way to pull together your 7% words. You are going to be concentrating on that 93% of delivery as well, aren't you, with your tone of voice and your body language. I'll share with you an example impact statement. This is where I really need Dan in the room because I'm doing a little bit of promo for him and the PA Forum. So I suggest you attend a PA Forum Learning and Development Conference. Firstly, the lineup always includes motivational speakers. Secondly, you'll have a choice of seminars to attend, which are CPD certified and endorsed by the IAM. And thirdly, you'll receive a certificate of attendance. So motivational speakers, seminars, and a certificate. You all know you get certificates, just as a side there. So. Problem, you think it might be costly? Actually, 2019's conference was just £99 plus VAT. I hope I've got the price right on that one. I should have checked in with Dan. Appeal to logic. So it's cost effective, and appeal to emotion. You're going to leave feeling inspired and motivated. You really are, everybody. You're going to be exhausted, but you'll be inspired and motivated. Credibility. Here are some fantastic comments from attendees of previous conferences, which I've printed out for everybody to read. You're all going to be wowed. Thank you very much for listening. Does anyone have any questions? Lovely format there, okay, that keeps you on track. So it's over to you in your table groups. I'm going to put this back up for you. Ideally, I'd like you to pick one impact statement per table, and I'd like it to be something that's real life. So in the last group, to give you some ideas, we had an organisation that is introducing treadmills into their company so that people during their lunch breaks can go and use the treadmills. We had someone that was introducing flexible working hours as well, hot topic at the moment. So whatever you want to work with. Or we also had someone that wanted to set up an internal PA network within their team. Again, a brilliant initiative. Have a go at using this. I'm just going to gauge when you're done with your impact statements, and I will be asking you to share those with the rest of the group. So you may want to either nominate a spokesperson or share it, because we're all sharing, caring. But I'm here if anyone's got any questions. Away you go. Impact. Walking meetings, that's another really great one. Does anyone do walking meetings rather than booking out a meeting room? So actually go and walk while you're meeting.
whole program.
Okay, everybody, that 55% body language is quite interesting because some of you are really proud of your impact statements and you've thrown your pen down and sat there really proudly. So I know that you've finished and you've got some amazing impact statements to share. So, anyone have a burning desire to go first? Yay, go for it. So if we could all be respectful and listen up to the person who is sharing that impact statement right through to the end. So where you go.
Okay, so we decided to do an impact statement on introducing a sustainability policy at the business. So in terms of the kind of main reasons and the benefits, we said it would be good for the environment, it would be money saving, and it would be really good for the reputation of the business and also staff engagement. So that was our power of three. Then, what's next? Potential problems, right. So we obviously thought there would be problems around engagement and culture, and so we thought maybe you need to make sure you keep staff involved, keep them consultative throughout the process. Mm-hmm. There was probably going to be issues around seeing it as an expensive thing to do, so we were suggesting things like trialling stuff rather than trying things out with new suppliers, and also starting on small initiatives rather than big initiatives initially. And then we also thought that might be kind of some people not being particularly happy about the process, so we'd make sure we had a clear common strategy to manage the transition. The appealing to logic, it would eventually save money in the long term. There might be some initial investment, but long term it would save, would have cost savings. And obviously in terms of appealing to kind of emotions, it's going to be great for the business. I think everyone would be on board about it because it's such a hot topic at the moment. And then in terms of credibility, find some supporting evidence. There's going to be loads out there. So instead, just mention David Attenborough would be the answer. And thank you very much. Any questions?
Brilliant. Has anyone actually got any questions live? Round of applause. I think that was really good. Thank you for sharing. So, question to your table then. How is that sticking to the impact model? Useful? Not useful? Yeah. Useful? Yeah. Good. Good. Anyone else have a burning desire to go next? There's deathly silence. Look at that. Okay. Someone on this table?
I'm quite happy to.
Excellent. Okay.
Be spokeswoman, and I hope that my team will help and support me where I've not written it down properly. To introduce you, it's a social network for single people to meet in Birmingham, and the main reasons are to have an old school way of meeting people rather than just it being online, a single social setting in Birmingham for professionals that have got professional backgrounds so that they can meet and learn from each other or whatever, and chat to each other. Problems. Some people may come along that could be desirable, they could be trying to pick up the wrong people, they could be married, that sort of thing. So that would have to be ironed out and made sure that those people don't come along. And upset other people, appeal to logic. I've written down here, guys, like-minded people meeting in the city centre. So it's for like-minded people to meet up, I think. I don't know if that's right. And credibility, it'd be a social setting where it's safe, and the safety would be in the forefront of it to make sure everybody is safe. Because when you're meeting strange people from being online, it's not always safe. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody, and everybody.
Hey, thank you very much. Any questions live from anybody that wants to join the single network? Again, how is that following the impact format there?
I can think so many things it can help to do.
Yeah, it kind of keeps you on track, and I think it is quite a logical step-by-step way. And by adding that 1, 2, 3, remember you can count it out to keep you on track as well if you don't have kind of your notes in front of you. So actually you can use this sort of off-pat if you're in the moment, so to speak, as well. So. Come on, power 3.
Single social setting.
Single social setting, very good, very good. I can see a logo coming out of that as well, it's very good. Let's have our table right at the front then, your impact statement.
So we wanted to introduce the idea of a holiday buy scheme. The main reasons would be to offer flexibility to the workforce, save the company money, and reduce absenteeism through sickness and childcare maybe. Problems we thought there might be would be the company might say that it might be costly, but we thought that one might balance out the other if people were able to buy and also sell holiday. We need to ensure there was a proper admin system to set it up and obviously give employees advance notice so we could give them 11 payments out of their salary or deductions. The appeal would be to the company would be obviously to save money and reduce absenteeism, and for the emotional, then we think it would be good for team staff morale. Credibility, I've already worked in an establishment that runs it and it goes down really, really well, and a few of my colleagues have as well. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Brilliant, rounds of applause. I love that one. It's really good, it's really good. And I love the way you absolutely stuck to the three main points there. It's very easy to take away, very, very distinct, 1, 2, 3, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Easy to use, useful? Good. Last but not least, spokesperson for the back group. Unless you want to do it as a shared thing, go for it.
Okay, so our idea was to bring your dog to work day. So that's the idea. The end being the main reason would be to get people together, bring people together, improve communication, the sense of well-being and morale, improve staff morale, which is obviously the power of 3. So we thought that fitted you well together. The P, any problems, what will you do with the dog when you arrive at work? There's risk assessments, allergies, and various other problems that may arise. The A would be appealing to people's happiness and potentially increasing people's productivity and happiness within the workplace that day. Credibility. This happened in the scenario that ladies gave here. This happened in one of their London offices, so they thought it would be a great opportunity to bring this into a different office based in Birmingham. So yeah, and then thank you. And are there any questions?
Brilliant. Rounds of applause again. So all the dog lovers in the room are getting very excited. They used that impact statement here in the group before, but they said pets rather than dogs. So I immediately stepped into, I have chickens as pets. They are pets. And I thought, I really can't bring a chicken into the office. That really isn't going to work. It's not the same as a dog, is it? So again, how was that to use the format here and stick to the format? Yeah. Just seeing what we're doing for time. We're good for time, everybody. So we've covered loads in the last 50 minutes or so. I did share this quote with you, remember, at the beginning, okay? Knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice. So I just want you to check in with the person sat next to you. I know there's going to be some 3s as well, but work in pairs or a 3. I want you to identify what you have taken on board and learned from this session, and importantly, what you will put into practice. And just a couple of minutes talking in pairs or 3s, okay? So talk away. So I'm taking the very noisy conversation to mean that you have taken on board lots of great learning from this afternoon and you will be putting it into practice. That just leaves me to say thank you all very, very much for involving yourself in the learning and for choosing this seminar session. I think it's pretty good timing. We're now due back in, I'm looking at someone that may know what we're due back in. I think we're due back in the main room, are we, for the close of the conference. So come and see me at the end if you want to. I'm around, I've got a stand downstairs. All my contact details are here. I'll get Dan to send over all the slides to you, and have a lovely rest of your day, everybody. Thank you.